Hello guys, welcome back to ESENtaxa. Andrea Papito here, and in this video I'm going to talk about the Forfait Regime 2023. The Italian Budget Law 2023 has been published, and then we have finally the version of this regime in this new year. If you are new in this channel, ESENtaxa talks about how to optimize taxes in Italy, how to relocate in this country, and provide a long tax planning of 5-10 years, try to reduce your taxation in this country. And we are doing exactly the same thing for Portugal and for Belgium. In the description below the video, you will find our contact, info@esentaxa.com. If you want to write us, if you want to have a consultation, you can visit our website, www.esentaxa.com. And we also release an online course, which basically it's a self-learning about the Italian fiscal system, and you can understand exactly how the entire Italian tax system works and how it's different from your country. And before to relocate to Italy, you can have a big understanding about everything and have a grown-up level conversation before approaching the Italian accountant, because they might talk a different type of taxation language, let's say, rather than a different language itself. Now, in this specific video, for this specific topic, we are going to describe the Forfait Regime 2023. So, normally every year the Italian government at the end of December publish the new budget law, so they make some adjustment, and sometimes those adjustments can be against the taxpayer and sometimes is in favor of the taxpayer. Once you become Italian fiscal resident, you become a tax Italian payer, and the forfeit regime might be one of the tax schemes that you can exploit. So as soon as you relocate in this country, we can see if you're past the constraints of being basically a forfeit regimers. First of all, let's repeat how is the forfeit regime and how it works and what are the benefits, the big benefits about it. First of all, it's a regime for freelancer or self-employed. So if you have a small business in Italy which doesn't pass 85,000 euro as income per year, then you can apply for this regime, because this is the first big constraint. Okay? So the constraint based on revenue. Now, in 2022, the limit was capped to 65,000 euro. Okay? In 2023, the Italian government decides to rise up this cap up to 85,000 euro. The second big benefit about the forfeit regime in Italy is that you don't apply the VAT. There is no VAT at the top of your invoices. So whenever you need to invoice, you don't add any VAT among Italian clients, and of course, in case of business-to-business situations, you don't even apply the VAT as well, but this is given for granted. So for internal business in Italy, you don't apply the VAT, so which means that you can be more competitive in the market. Another point, so this is the first point, the first point is to access this regime respecting these limits, and it has been increased in 2023 up to 85,000 euro, okay. The second big benefit is that we don't have VAT on our invoices, and the third big benefit is that for the first 5 years you are considered a startup activity, and in a startup activity you're going to pay only 5% taxes. Only 5% taxes, okay? So these things, it remains the same also in 2023. And after 5 years, the taxation goes up to 15%, okay? Now, the question is, I'm going to apply this 5% on 85,000 euro? The answer is no, absolutely not. Indeed, the forfeit regime, it works with not real cost, but with forfeit costs, which are defined by the state based on your activity, based on your business. So the fourth point is that you have the deductibility coefficient, we change based on the type of activity. For example, if you work as a consultant, a general consultant of IT, of fiscal laws, or a consultant of general nature, you will have a deduction, for example, of 22%. What does it mean? It means that you earn, for example, 80,000 euro, you deduct 20% or 22% more or less about the forfeit cost. That's why it's called forfait regime. So you have 22% of cost that you can deduct, so you don't really deduct your real effective cost, but you have a forfeit cost that has to be deducted on your revenue. And what remains will be imposable for taxes and for social security. Okay, so this is how it works. For example, if you trade online, if you have a drop shipping business, for example, you don't have 22% of deduction, but you might have something like 40% deduction. So 40% will be deducted on 18,000. So basically, maybe 50,000 more or less will be taxable. It will be imposable on your 5%. Or on your 15%. If, for example, you want to manage a bed and breakfast in Italy, the percentage is even higher. It can reach up to 60% deduction. So you reduce your income by 60% because the Italian state considers 60% as a forfeit cost for that specific activity that you have declared, like bed and breakfast activity, for example, and what remains will be taxed at 5% for the first 5 years. And will be impossible also is the amount of money to be taken into account also for the calculation of the social security. Now, so this is, as we said, the deductibility coefficient. Fifth point is the INPS. Now, the INPS in Italy is the social security. And in Italy, the social security is quite high. So it's normally, now it reaches 25.9%. In 2023. But of course, the social security is not something that you're going to calculate on 85,000 euro, okay? It's something that has to be calculated after the deduction, okay? So you're going to reduce your revenue by your forfeit cost. What remains will be imposable. It's the amount of money that has to be multiplied for this 25%. And then the value is what you pay for your social security. Then this amount of money will be subtracted still against what remains of your revenue, and then you apply your 5% taxes. Okay, so first you reduce your forfeit cost, second you reduce your social security, and then you pay this 5%, and after 5 years this is a 15% tax. So this is how generally works the forfeit regime. One of the hidden secrets of the forfeit regime is that you're not going to apply, for example, you're not going to apply the RPF taxation. So this is a substitutive taxation of 5% for the first 5 years and 50% afterwards. The RPF taxation is not taken into account. It means that if you have a parallel income coming from abroad, or you have a different activity which not belongs to the forfeit regime schema, you can use the RPF taxation in parallel of the forfeit regime. So the global revenue, it's cumulated, but does not make this tax bracket gross, okay? So you can, for example, have an occasional type of work in parallel with the forfeit regime, and then you don't cumulate the two taxations. This is one of the hidden things that a lot of people are not taking into account when they choose the forfeit regime. Another secret point of the forfeit regime is the following. Up to 2022, if you exceed the 85,000 euro or 65,000 euro for the previous year of the forfeit regime, you don't exit this regime in the current year, but you exit the regime the following year, okay? Now, and you didn't have any limits. You could have even invoiced €1 million, okay? Now, in 2023, these things has been changed. So if you pass the threshold of 85,000 euro in the current year, because you're invoicing more than what you have expected, what you have previewed, you can still stay in the forfeit regime, but up to 100,000 euro. So if you stay between 85,000 and 100,000 euro per year, you can still stay in the forfeit regime, and only the following year you will be obliged to exit it and move to the ordinary regime. But if you pass straight the 100,000 euro since the beginning, then in 2023 you are obliged to charge back all the VAT that you didn't apply because you applied for the forfeit regime, so you have to immediately move to the ordinary regime, okay? So this is the difference in 2023 compared to 2022. The forfeit regime is something that has to be evaluated because sometimes might be more convenient than the impatriate regime. And that's the reason why here in ESENtaxa we provide you tax simulations. So we can compare the forfeit regime in 2023 with the impatriate regime that basically has been remained exactly the same, has been published in exactly the same copy as it was in 2022. So one of our services is, along with the 1 hour consultation, we provide a tax simulation that we can check based on your activity, because based on your business, if you describe us your business, we can actually check which is the code activity in Italy, which is the deductibility coefficient, so you know how much taxes by default you are granted, how much forfeit cost you are granted to have back. And we can compare it with the impatriate regime. And if you are able to enter in the impatriate regime, basically, we can check if the relocation in south of Italy and the north of Italy makes more sense with the impatriate regime rather than the forfeit regime. Okay, so this is a quite important thing. This is one of the main change in our budget law, Italian budget law 2023. Stay tuned, because in ESENtaxa we are going to release other videos about other big change and favorable flat taxes that have been published in this new year. Thank you, and if you like this content, notification bell, like button, and subscribe to the channel to be always notified whenever we release this kind of videos. Thank you, and see you the next time.